And we're back now. Kemi Badenoch's feud with Nigel Farage has escalated over the weekend over claims that she urged bosses of this channel, GBNews, to cut the airtime given to Reform UK leader Nigel Farage. That's according to the front page of the Mail on Sunday, as you can see. They claim in their reports that during the meeting with the channel's chief executive, Kemi Badenoch said that GBNews should not be, quotes, a haven for my critics. I'm joined now by Reform UK's mayoral candidate for Lincolnshire, Dame Andrea Jenkyns. Dame Andrea, welcome to the show. Great to see you and Happy New Year to you. What on earth do you make of this? Why is your former leader, Kemi Badenoch, engaging in a fight with Nigel Farage?
I mean, I think it was rather immature, if I'm honest. And I don't quite believe the Conservative figures. If I can just look at, my old seat of Morley, we went from 450 seats, actually, 450 members down to 100 members after what happened to Boris and Liz. So if that, Christopher, is echoed across the country, I'd be very surprised if it's anywhere near the 130,000 that,
Yeah, I should explain to viewers and listeners, 130,000 or so of them is a membership tally announced by the Tory party at the time they announced Kemi Badenoch as leader. And now Reform UK claim they've got 150,000 members, so that allows Reform to say they're a bigger party. But no, I think the Tories wouldn't be questioning that. Their figures, they would claim, I'm sure, are audited, as does Reform UK. I just wonder why this battle is taking place, because Reform UK have 5 MPs, the Tories have 121 MPs, and Reform UK is the 8th biggest party or grouping in Parliament. The Tories are the 2nd. Why on earth are the Conservatives so worried about a tiny party like Reform?
Well, they're worried because they realise that the more activists you get, the more leaflets get delivered, the more your messaging gets out there. I mean, do you see the poll today, which is the headlines, Reform, they could take 17 seats in Yorkshire, including my old seat, including Ed Miliband's. And so they're clearly worried. But to me, besides, Robert Jenrick, I think is doing a better job than Kemi, actually, of holding Labour to account. But Nigel and the 5 MPs are doing a far better job than the whole of the Conservative Party at the moment in holding Labour to account. And so I think that's probably why they're getting worried. And regarding your point you just made, previously about them writing to the channel or contacting the channel, GBNews. I got it on good authority that the candidate who's standing against me for the Conservative Party has also put complaints in to not just yourself, but to other TV stations where I go on. And we're not even in the short campaign. So it does seem to be filtering down even to my campaign, Christian.
And I should say, we are really keen to have anyone on from any parties, Labour MPs, Labour candidates, whoever.
Well, you do,
and we're constantly asking for that. I should say a GBNews spokesman said the meeting took place between GBNews and Kemi Badenoch without any acrimony and was very constructive. Also, while we've been on air, the Tories have sent us a statement too to read out to you. Reform has delivered, the Tories say, a Labour government that has cruelly cut winter fuel payments for 10 million pensioners, put the future family farming and food security at risk, and launched a devastating raid on jobs which will leave working people paying the price. A vote for Reform this coming May is a vote for a Labour council. Only the Conservatives can stop this. So, Dame Andrea, the suggestion here from the Tories is that Reform and support for Reform simply help Labour stay in power.
But I think that's actually got very arrogant now. And I mean, I did even say during my election, I'm a Democrat and, smaller parties have the right to exist. And even though the party was putting that out during the election campaign, they've got every right to exist. We're a democracy and the movement's growing. And I think it actually shows that they're going about this the wrong way. Instead of attacking Reform, who's actually hoovering up a lot of their members, they should be thinking, right, we want strong leadership here. We want to bring these members back. I mean, Kemi's interview on Radio 4 was a prime example of this, Christopher. Look how she said, Andrea Jenkyns doesn't like me, like we're in the playground. I don't have any feeling one way or another as her as a person. I don't think she's a very good leader. That's completely different. what she should have said is, it's a shame when any Conservative, former member of parliaments or elected officials leave the party, but I will bring strong leadership and actually ensure we bring people back. But this is why reform, actually, and Nigel, Richard, all of the team, they are speaking sense. They're actually speaking to the heart of what people are thinking. They are saying the things that people want us to say.
Have you been in touch with Kemi Badenoch? I mean, she seemed to say that you don't like her. I mean, do you like Kemi Badenoch?
Well, that's what I just said. I don't have a feeling one way or another about it. I mean, as a person, she's probably okay. But as a leader, I did say I'd leave the Conservative Party. She became leader because she wouldn't rip up the last of the EU laws on the statute, Christopher, because, it was in her remit. And I'm a passionate Democrat, and that's why I fought so hard for Brexit. And I feel that, unfortunately, Kemi's rhetoric is all hot air, but her background in what she's done in Parliament does not prove that she delivers. So it's not about her as a person, it's about her as a leader.
Do you not think,
the only leader we've got what's strong is Nigel. Yes,
Nigel Farage, you would say that. Others would disagree with that, but of course, yes. I mean, is reform not in the box seat because you've had 14 years of the Tories, by the end, frankly, failing on a number of measures, not least increasing the tax burden and not cutting net migration or illegal migration. And then Labour's had a bumpy start with no growth in the last quarter. And that leaves the door wide open to someone like Reform UK, which has never got near power and can offer simple solutions to complex issues. I mean, is that not where we are? Simply the party that you're now supporting is offering untested and simplistic ideas to win support.
Look, I think, don't underestimate Reform. Look what happened in Canada. They ended up becoming the bigger party, didn't they? And then I think both parties came together eventually in the end. But no, I've met with the whole team so many times. We have daily conversations, and we're going to have a powerful manifesto, which I'm going to in Lincolnshire as well. I've been even working on it the last few days, which actually speaks to the heart of the people. Yeah. I think what's happened is, party members left the Conservative Party with what they did to Boris, what they did to Liz, and then they see that they have a leader who's not really saying much, and so they're still coming to us. But I want to take the fight to Labour as well now, Christopher. We've seen these polling about Yorkshire, and we could take Lincolnshire mayoral, we could take the one around the Hull area. And so I think we need to send a message to both the major parties. Look, neither of you are safe. The British public want reform, and they want common sense politics, and that's what we will bring.
You mentioned forecast gains there for Reform. There's polling in today's Sunday Times giving Reform UK, were an election held now, and it won't be for 4 years, 72 seats. The Tories, 222 seats. Labour, 228 seats. That suggests that if Reform in the UK did form an alliance, they could run the country from 2029. You mentioned Canada. Can a deal be done here? I mean, shouldn't these two right-centre parties be coming together to take on Labour and the Lib Dems? And are you urging that internally in Reform UK?
No, I'm not. If you remember, Christopher, we've had conversations, haven't we, on your shows over the last 18 months. I was trying to bring both parties together before the election to take the fight to the socialists. But I think now it's actually gone too far, and what Kemi did in actually virtually accusing Nigel of fraud, I think that's actually trampled on any potential relationship. Not that there was going to be one anyway, but I think that's, rhetoric like that doesn't help matters. But I think what we've seen with his 150,000 members in that short space of time, we are a movement, and still 4.5 years away from election. Yeah. We can pull from Labour and Conservatives well. Then we can become the governing party.
On those 150,000 members, are they all in the UK? Are they all voters who can vote here, or are they all around the world? Because some of the memberships are being signed up in the small hours of the morning.
Well, I mean, look, I'm an insomniac. I was sort of writing my campaign plan at 2 a.m. in the morning this morning, Christopher. So, well, I understand the parties had the verifiers in, so you'd have to ask them that, but I couldn't see why it would not be, to be honest.
Yeah. And just finally, I guess the one party delighted with this battling it on the right of politics is Sir Keir Starmer, because the polling is bad for him. There's no growth in the economy. He's trying to get regulators to try and cut regulation to improve the economy. It was a bright spot for him, really, in a difficult set of headlines this Sunday.
Yes, and this is why I've only tweeted last night, actually, and this morning, Christopher, about taking the fight to the Labour heartlands, because they are and they should be our next target. And so I think, watch this space, we will be taking some seats off Labour as well in the council elections. That's if they go ahead, unless the Conservative and Labour-led councils try to stop these elections with what's coming from central government. But I think you'll be some surprising results in there.
Well, Dame Andrea Jenkyns, the mayoral candidate for Reform UK in Greater Lincolnshire, thank you for joining us today on GB News.